Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. We have some late breaking news, especially for me here out on the East Coast, as it is a little past 11 for me, as Gary Bryant Jr. has officially committed to the Oregon Ducks, headed to the Oregon program from USC. Now, before we get too deep into this video, I just wanted to thank you guys all for the support, especially the Pac 12 fans, both the Oregon fans and the USC fans. uh, the amount you guys watching our stuff and commenting and liking it, it truly does mean the world. Now, in this video, I'll talk a little bit about Gary Bryant Jr., the player, and his fit in the Oregon scheme, and then maybe a little more about what to kind of expect from this Oregon Ducks football team, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Now, to start off, Gary Bryant Jr. is obviously an incredibly talented football player. Came into USC as a top 50 recruit from the state of California, and obviously had a really pretty good start for USC. I mean, you look at what he did in 2021 in a year where, frankly, USC really couldn't get anything going with any consistency on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, to put up almost 600 yards and score 7 touchdowns, that's a really good year. And the first thing that jumps out to you as the player in Gary Bryant Jr. is when he gets the ball in his hands, he is a very effective player, very capable of breaking off big plays, making explosive plays happen. And that's just a huge thing that we've talked about, especially on this channel for college football offenses. Like, you need to have guys who can take a screen pass and take it 30 plus yards and make those type of plays, because it just is sometimes really hard to just drive the ball down the field methodically. You get a penalty, you get a sack, any sort of negative plays can really derail an offense that can't kind of make up for that by having some supremely talented athletes. And now you look at what this Oregon football team is looking like on the offensive side of the ball. You are extremely excited about the talent they have on the offensive end, especially at the wide receiver position. And you got your leader back in Troy Franklin, who was dominant last year at the wideout position. You have a guy in Chris Hudson who's played really good football for it feels like a very long time at Oregon. And then you add two transfer portal wideouts in Tez Johnson and Trayshawn Holden from Alabama. You kind of got something going here on offense, and you throw Gary Bryant into the mix. You're looking like, at least from the wideout position, you're going to give Bo Nix a sneaky shot at a Heisman, and Bo Nix coming back for his this year, I think, was huge for this Oregon team. I mean, a guy who in a weaker quarterback class probably would have had a shot to be a draft pick. Again, probably not a first rounder, but maybe in that fourth round, fifth round type range. You could have seen Bo Nix come off the board. And I think he's coming back with a purpose. Like, he knows how good this Oregon team can be. At least I would guess so. I mean, I certainly think they should be really good. And I think, again, if you harken back to what Bo Nix was at Auburn, you would never think to consider him in the Heisman kind of running. But given what he did at Oregon and what they have coming back and how loaded they are at that wide receiver position, I don't see how you can possibly fathom that he's not in the conversation. I mean, he's going to put up a ton of yards. Troy Franklin's going to do his thing again, no doubt. You're adding a couple of these big time or intriguing transfer portal guys, at least. That's maybe how you could describe them. And you're going to give this Oregon team a great chance to be in a position to just score a lot of points. And if Dan Lanning can get this defense going, which I certainly expect him to be able to, especially coming from Georgia, where he built probably the best defense I've ever seen play college football in that 2021 year. I think this Oregon team's very primed to be very much in competition for this Pac-12 title. Now, on just a pure like rivalry side, this transfer portal does make that November 11th meeting between USC and Oregon. It probably does add a little bit of juice. I mean, when players go from kind of cross-conference rivalries and make that jump, it certainly probably does add a little bit of excitement and and maybe juice up that rivalry. Not that it necessarily needed to be, because Oregon and USC, I mean, they've been two titans for a long time, and especially as USC's reemerged under Lincoln Riley, that's certainly been probably amped back up. And that's the fun part about college football. That game is now like kind of mark that on the calendar. That's going to be one of the big ones. it certainly feels possible that you could see a rematch with those two teams eventually in the conference final, and possibly with a playoff berth on the line. So you just kind of look at what this Pac-12 season might look like, especially with these two looking like they're going to be two of the top dogs. You certainly just got to be really excited. And as an East Coast guy, you kind of look forward to that late night Pac-12 game where it's on at 10 o'clock and you're staying up till 2, and that's a very fun nightcap, if you will, for an exciting day of college football. But again, I think this Gary Bryant news very helpful for this Oregon offense. Just adding another playmaker into an offense that certainly is not short in that department at the moment. But again, you can't have enough of those type of guys, and Oregon gonna score a lot of points. Gonna be very tough to deal with for anyone in the country. And I am looking forward to what they can do in terms of unseating USC and kind of who probably is the presumptive favorites now, just given what Caleb Williams is. But don't sleep on this Duck team. Bo Nix playing really good football, obviously very loaded at the wide receiver position. Very much just shaping out to be a very exciting season for the Pac-12, and especially with Oregon and USC. So that's probably all I had for today, and thank you guys all for watching. And we will be back with any other news later.